here today to talk about what we need to do to keep the worms happy and not escaping. I'm going to have a little flashback on one day when it started to get cold and I moved the bin into the garage thinking that it's not going to be as cold as it would be outside. Well, this was 45 degrees. It was 45 degrees at night, and the very next day I found escapees. I checked out my worms this morning. It is about 45 degrees or probably colder. So I found 1, 2, 3, if you can see the 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there were 3 on the lid. Ooh, there's more over there. 7. There were 3 on the lid that was on the side. So now I have 9 or 10. I think it is because it's so cold in here. Yesterday when I was checking them and I had the light shining on them, it was warm, but last night was really cold. So I think that's the reason why they are trying to escape. They don't like it too cold in there. The reason why I want to talk about this is because just because you have a bin, it doesn't mean that the conditions in there are going to be conducive to the happiness of the worms. You do have to make a little bit of an effort to keep them happy, which means that we have to make the environment perfect for them. We're not feeding them too much. What we're feeding them is pre-composted in the freezer before we give it to them, so that the cells will break down easier for them to digest. However, there are some situations where they're not going to be happy. So what they normally do is they try to escape that environment, and in doing that, sometimes they find themselves in danger because they end up on the floor. They're all crawling up, they're crawling down. I've seen like nightmare bins. Mine has not gotten that far, but I'm trying to do everything that I can to keep them happy. So first thing you need to remember is that this paper that you put on top, you spray some water, not too soggy, but just like a wet sponge. And this morning, if you keep the lid off, the paper will dry up because, this bin is inside my house. It's in my kitchen. No, I don't see any worms crawling out because they're happy with the environment that they have right now. And as you can see, they have been eating even the paper and the cardboard. And by spraying it with water, it also helps to the decomposition of all the materials in there. And so what I did was I just spread out the food everywhere because some people say that you should only feed them one side so that they're together to encourage them to mate and multiply in number. But I feel like the way I'm doing it right now is because I started to just feed one side. So I want it to be even. So I started to feed the whole bin, like on top, so that the next time I'm just gonna start feeding them on each corner, like one corner one day, or 2 days later I'll do this part, and then this. So you're just gonna like divide it into 6 parts. And then just alternate where you're gonna feed them until it reaches up to here. And I have my new bin prepared. So what's gonna happen is this is gonna sit on top. As soon as it's gonna sit on top like this, and then I'm gonna start to, but it's not full yet. I want all of this material to be eaten up and almost no material left. Then I'm gonna start with my new bedding, with my all the layers that I normally put for the feeding, and then they're gonna start to crawl up here, and then after maybe a month, I mean they eat so fast that I don't even think it's gonna take a month for all of the worms to come up here and eat, start eating, because they're top feeders. Then I'm going to kind of pull this up and then slowly slide maybe a cardboard underneath it. Hopefully like it doesn't fall out, because once it's compacted, it like kind of holds each other. And then I'm going to lift it up and maybe have something underneath there, with the holes and everything, so that all the compost doesn't fall down to the very bottom container. And then I'm gonna start the next bin doing the same thing. So this is all set to go. I mean, it's gonna probably be another maybe 2 weeks before this goes up to the level that I need for the next bin to come on. Now, how to make the worms happy. The first time when I had it in the garage, it started to get cold, so they start crawling out. Then what I did is I moved them inside the kitchen, and it's in my house. I try to keep it to 66 degrees. I don't really like it hot. So then I have the lid on top. I kept the lid on top, but because of the moisture, the heat, and then the cold, together, it started to get really soggy in there. I mean, I have holes here for ventilation, and all these holes right here for ventilation, but because of the cold and the heat fighting each other, it got really moist in there, and it just started to condensation started to set in. They didn't like that, so they start crawling up, and you will know because you'll see them on the floor. There, I didn't have a lot, but on the sides here, you'll see that there's like soil, like black stuff, because you can tell that they've been trying to crawl out. So what I did is it got so soggy, so what I had to do was put more paper in there, so the dry paper will absorb some moisture, and then it kind of balanced itself out. And then what I did was, in order to stop them from crawling out, because they don't like the light, I did this. I put Christmas lights in this little container here, and then I kept it on all night long so that they wouldn't crawl out. But the danger of that is that if they're not happy in their environment, and then you're trying to keep them in there, it's gonna get confusing for the not very smart worms. So they're just gonna get confused, and if they stay in there and they don't really like it because it's too hot or too cold, then they'll just die off. And I noticed that the number of worms that I have. See how many babies there are right now. There's a lot of babies, but guess what, guys? I don't see a lot of adults, which is really concerning to me. But I'm not gonna stress, because the babies are gonna grow. It's gonna grow, and it's my first time, so I'm gonna cut myself some slack. And if I have to get some more worms, I will. Now, the sources you can get worms. I got this from Uncle Jim's online, right? However, I found out from one of the videos, I think it was Paul something, I forgot. I mean, I'll have his link on the description, or his name on the description, but he's a really good farmer. I watch all his videos. If you look on YouTube and find him, he has vermicomposting videos, and I learned a lot from him just from watching the videos. Farmer Paul said that you can get red wigglers if you go to your local horse ranch or something, because you will find them in the horse poop. So that's where I'm gonna try to find a place around here to get more worms. I'm gonna do another video of doing a compost bin or a worm bin straight in my garden. The castings actually has so many microorganisms. It has 1 billion in 1 tablespoon of microorganism, and when you throw it in your garden, as long as you're watering it and you have mulch for them to feed off of, they just start multiplying. So you don't really even need a lot of castings anymore. But if you have like planters and stuff like that, it's a good idea to do this. And also, you know, hey guys, you get into this stuff, you harvest your compost, you can really even sell it locally because people will buy it. This stuff is like black gold to gardeners. So you know, just keeping them happy in here, as long as they're fed. If they're not getting enough moisture, they breathe through their skin. If they're not getting enough moisture, they're gonna die, they're gonna dry off. So you need to keep it moist, and it's very, very moist in here. I just sprayed a whole bunch of water today because last night was pretty hot inside the house, so some of this paper dried up. But if they're not getting enough food, they start to get antsy and then they start to crawl out. So if you're not seeing any worms crawling out, it means the condition is perfect for them. They love it. They're gonna thrive on it. I fed them a week ago, okay, and I did put a lot of food in there, and they're still working on it. If I pull back some of this paper, I can see them just feeding off of, see how there's still worm chow there. And I'm gonna add some more paper because they're eating all the paper too, and most of this paper is also you know, composting, which means that it's breaking down too. So I need to go to my paper shredder and get some more newspaper that I've shredded the other day, and then spray it again with some water just to keep it moist. And then a few days later, just go ahead and feed them like one side. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some people do it that way. Some people just do corners, which is fine too. Reaching to the top here where I'm about ready to harvest this. And the first harvest that I got, I had 13 pounds of nothing but black gold, gardener's black gold. And you know, a little bit goes a long way. 1 teaspoon, you know, I probably have enough for my whole garden right now. I've already given some to my mother, and she wants some more. She thought I bought it from Home Depot. Anyway, so anything that you have that they can also eat, like sawdust, any type of leaves. I wouldn't feed them oak leaves, the dry oak leaves, because I don't know, there's something about oak leaves that is not conducive for worms, is what I'm hearing. I think I saw that somewhere. So that's that. It's happy. I leave this cover off. I probably do like this at night because they still need to have the darkness in there. But I also don't want it to get so sweaty in there that it's, you know, making everything soggy either, because they don't like it like that. They like a lot of air. And I guess this many holes is not enough for them, or this many holes on top. But as you can see, this right here, this dirt right here is from them crawling out of the holes. They're not dirty. If you think about it, it's compost, it's castings, their castings is like just fresh, you know, pure, unadulterated, fertile soil. So why would it not be okay for it to be in your kitchen or your office or something? You know, they're not dirty. I mean, there is dirt in here, but it's not dirty. So at first I am stressed out because I didn't like worms, but now as long as I have my gloves, I'm fine. And also, the benefit of using gloves, guys, is because you don't transfer your oil, the skin oil, into them, because they breathe through their bodies, and if you have oil in there, it's gonna, you know, clog up their breathing. Yeah, that's it, guys. This is my explanation of how to keep your worms happy. The temperature, the moisture, the food. If you have all that factors, you know, they'll stay in there. They'll be happy. They won't leave you. They'll just be in there, making black gold for you guys, for everybody, for all of us. So here's a sample of a hatched cocoon. You see that? It's kind of transparent. That's a hatched one. And then an unhatched one is this right here. It's kind of opaque, not transparent like the other one, because it still has something in it. That's a difference. Thank you all for watching. Please come on back again soon. Please like, subscribe, or comment, or just say hello to all. Take care, and as always, let's go out and keep succulenting.